It's Friday, and I'm back with the next in our Fanzine Friday series. Today we're taking a look at Pseudo-Dragon number 2 from 1985. Please stick around. I'm AZ Mountaineer, and this is our channel, Old School Rules, where we celebrate the community of old school gamers and grognards who like classic RPGs, miniatures, magazines, and everything that goes with it. Each week on the Fanzine Friday series, I take a fanzine from my collection off the shelf for a closer look. And today it's Pseudo-Dragon number 2 from Mike Anderson and Joel Garcia. Hope you enjoy the video. So this is the second week that we're taking a look at a fanzine called Pseudo-Dragon that was produced by a couple of gamers, Mike Anderson and Joel Garcia. I say take this off the shelf to share, but this one's actually digital. One of them came across this in a box of their old gaming material and shared it with the community, and I'm glad to be able to share it with all of you all who watch my fanzine videos. I think these are really excellent. This issue, again, is just the product of these two folks. They don't have any input from the community yet, and I think this is the end of what they did. One of the things you'll notice right away if we take a look at the cover is the computer-generated nature of this graphic, right? And everything about this second issue is kind of interesting to me because it's very clearly a product that was made on a computer. These graphics remind me of those very first video games that you might have seen, or the kind of things you would try to do in computer class. And so that's where we get our cover art here. It's a castle, you know, up on a hill. Again, there's not a lot in this fanzine. It's only 10 pages long. There's a short comment just about the fact they're a little slower than they wanted to be, tell you a little bit about what's coming in the pages this time. And they have an NPC who is the leader of the Heart Bowman, which was the NPC in issue number 1. Some new weapons, some new spells, and some new monsters. So all the kind of stuff you tend to get in these early fanzines. So here is the same artwork as last time. This is Torin Hawk, self-titled King of the Heart Bowman. He has 125 hit points, armor class -1. He's got this super good bow, but essentially he's just the leader and teacher of all the Heart Bowmen. Then some really interesting new weapons I'll talk about a little bit. One of the things I like about all these, they tell you a little bit about the background, and they also give you some suggestion of sort of like a rumor or lore about where this weapon might be found today, which is a really interesting thing you don't typically see with these new weapons. So I like the, in addition to just the stats, you get a little bit more story around these weapons. The first one is the Wear Bow, and if you use the bow, it'll affect you with lycanthropy. And that's essentially it. The next one is the Morin Stone, which is a ball and chain, essentially a flail with just one end on it. And it absorbs electrical energy and then can release electrical energy on a hit. The next one is a Warhammer called Troll Kill, and it releases a blinding flash of as if sunlight, back in the Tolkien days where sunlight would turn trolls to stone, as opposed to D&D where it's more fire is what you know is the enemy, right, of trolls. And so this will in fact turn trolls to stone. The Glarnave is a longsword, enchanted longsword, and it turns you invisible, but unfortunately it's permanent once you pick it up and draw it out, as if in combat or just to sort of test it, it'll turn you invisible. And it treats it like a curse. You'll have to get a remove curse to get rid of the invisibility. So some people might like that, and certainly as a DM I would never give someone permanent invisibility. I think that's probably going to cause us more mischief than harm to a character. The Unnoticed Revenge is another long sword, and this one just does its main thing is you can change from a sword to appear like a cane or a staff and then change back. That's a magical enchantment. And then it does normal hit with a bonus from being enchanted and does an extra 1 to 6 points of electrical damage. And finally we've got a throwing knife called Fire Strike that does 1 to 10, in addition to normal damage, 1 to 10 damage of fire on a hit. Can hit 2 targets in the same round. I'm not really sure what the logic is of how a dagger that you throw bounces and does damage to both people, but it does. And it returns to the hand of the thrower at the end of every round without fail. So that's a pretty powerful weapon. Good ideas. I'd probably tweak that one a little bit, right? Some new spells. The cleric spell is called Arrow Rain. I like this one. It's a 4th level spell, and it just drops a bunch of arrows out of the sky in an area of effect. If you save, you take less hits. If you fail your save, you might take an extra hit. And he's got a little chart to determine, based on your size, how many arrows would strike you. Pretty decent spell. I don't, because it's a cleric, I don't know if arrows, maybe it's okay because it's a spell. They normally don't like to spill blood, so you might modify that to sling stones, I suppose, but the idea is fairly good. Here's an overpowered spell. It's magic user. It's level 9, and it's the Quivering Palm. Basically gives you the effect of the monk from the player's handbook, and you can only use it once a week because it's so taxing on the magic user. I probably don't like that just because I don't like the copying of abilities from another class. And then level 6 magic user spell called Lycanthropy, which will, if you fail your save, will infect you with lycanthropy. You roll randomly to determine what type of were creature you're now going to become. So it's a pretty harsh, but I think it's a pretty decent spell. And now we have some new monsters. The Fire Folk are, as you might imagine, fire creatures. They look humanoid in shape. They're not aggressive, but they will respond in combat, and they can shoot little balls of fire for 2d4, and they can just make physical contact with you to do fire damage. And an interesting add there is, like they say, when you find the treasure, it's going to be a molten mass, and so your coins or your gems or whatever it is, everything's in one big melted pile. And so there's some interesting potential role play there with the character trying to figure out how to get this valuable treasure hoard out, since it's one giant pile, without damaging or destroying stuff, etc. The next creature is called the Saber Snake. And they say it's small, but they also say it looks like a sword. And so the gist of this is it could be mistaken for a sword, and then when you grab it, it's poisonous and it might bite you. So something in there, I think, could be kind of a clever one-off thing to use. The Stun Stone, this is probably my favorite of their new creations. And this is a sentient creature like a trapper or a lurker above, but it looks like a stone. It could be in the floor or the wall. And when you touch it, the way it damages you is through an electrical shock that it builds up and holds inside of its body. And it can, but it's not very powerful. It only does 1 to 6 points of damage. It could be different sizes, and it can be up to the biggest size could be 3d6. But then, it basically, it is just say it can roll away or move away, and I would say it probably rolls because I don't think it would sprout legs. It can probably make itself roll, but basically it's not going to be able to get away. So potentially this is the kind of creature, unlike the trapper and lurker above, where they can kill a character that gets trapped inside. This guy just basically shocks you. Maybe he stays in the floor or the wall, and you think it's a trap, and so you just leave him alone. But anyway, I thought this was a clever creature. And then, and let me show you, we got a couple of pieces of artwork. So there's the flaming guy, and then this is the winged Menace, which basically looks like a rat that has bat wings. And these are creatures that try and avoid human contact. They do 1 to 6 hit points. They live up in caves, etc. I think basically you could just use bats. I'm not really sure what the difference is with these guys. And then finally we have this creature, which is the Dragon, which is a small-sized, basically, dragon, only 3 feet long. Behave like dragons. They have a couple low-level spells. They hide underground, they collect and hoard treasure, and their other cool abilities, they can turn invisible 3 times a day. So either to get off an attack or to escape, because again, they have 5 hit dice, so kind of tough, but not particularly. So basically like a tiny, a mini dragon. So that's it, and this is the back page, which I wanted to share with you just because this is another computer-generated graphic that they did. And they mentioned on the last page, that we've done this computerized version of the magazine. They want to know what people think. Do you like the look of the magazine? Obviously, it was easy to proofread because you're, on a computer screen, you can read through and change things pretty easily. So that made it easier. And they asked for people's feedback. Unfortunately, I think that's the end of Pseudo-Dragon. A couple of really cool fanzines here we've had a chance to take a look at. I love what these guys did back in the day. I think a lot of us probably thought about doing something like this, but never really took the initiative to put it down on paper, produce it, and put it out into the public like Mike and Joel did. So that's Pseudo-Dragon number 2 from 1985. Hope you guys are enjoying the channel, hope you're enjoying the videos, and I hope you're subscribed. If you've got friends who might enjoy the content, please send them our way. Hopefully they can be subscribers as well. Y'all have a great weekend. Until next time, keep rolling 20s.